Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Who is she? Threatened to kill Cane while strangling him. In the ever-twisting and emotionally charged world of the young and the restless, storylines often balance betrayal, heartbreak, passion, and shocking revelations. But this new chapter involving Cane Ashby pushes the boundaries of danger and deception even further, raising the burning question on every fan's mind. Who is she, the mysterious woman who attacked Cane, strangled him in a moment of explosive violence, and left him gasping for air while whispering a blood-chilling threat that she would kill him if he dared to cross her again? A moment that sends shivers through the Newman, Abbott, and Winters families as they struggle to piece together the truth while hidden enemies manipulate the game from the shadows. Because the attack on Cane is not a random burst of violence but a calculated strike that ties into larger schemes of power, blackmail, and revenge within Genoa City. And while Cane has always been a flawed man haunted by his mistakes, cheating scandals, identity lies, financial betrayals, and the collapse of his marriage to Lily, no one could have predicted that he would become the target of such brutal physical retaliation, suggesting that someone from his past, or perhaps even a new adversary, is pulling the strings. And now viewers are left reeling as the possibilities multiply. Could it be Amanda Sinclair, still furious at Cane over their tangled history involving Colin's schemes and the stolen inheritance? Or is it Juliet Helton's shadow returning in some dark form through a vengeful ally? Or maybe someone entirely unexpected, like a figure connected to Hillary's legacy, Devon's empire, or even the Newman corporate wars? Because what makes this plot so compelling is not just the shocking act of violence itself but the mystery of the attacker's identity, the chilling words she delivered, and the ripple effects that now threaten to destabilize nearly every family in Genoa City. With Victor Newman quickly suspecting that this assault ties to ongoing corporate espionage against Newman Enterprises, Jack Abbott wondering if Jabot is being pulled into another dangerous crossfire, and Lily Winters, despite her bitterness toward Cane, finding herself drawn into the mystery as she realizes that the father of her children is in grave danger. And though Lily has tried to move forward with her life, she cannot ignore the unsettling possibility that Cane's brush with death may directly impact her family's safety, especially if this woman's vendetta extends beyond Cane himself, while Cane, bruised physically and emotionally, is left shaken but defiant, swearing that he will uncover who orchestrated the attack and why, even as he hides just how vulnerable he truly feels. Because the truth is that Cane has never been more afraid, not only for his own life but for what this mysterious woman represents. A past crime, betrayal, or buried secret finally clawing its way back into the present, demanding vengeance, and the intensity of this storyline is heightened by the atmosphere of paranoia spreading throughout Genoa City, as Abby Newman whispers suspicions to Chance Chancellor about potential underworld ties. Phyllis Summers stirs up speculation with her sharp tongue and love for chaos, and Devon Hamilton, still struggling with trust issues, grows increasingly wary that someone from the circle of inheritance fraud and Colin Atkinson's old cons has returned to settle unfinished business, with Cane caught in the eye of the storm. And what makes the situation even more dangerous is that the attacker did not simply try to scare Cane away but physically strangled him, nearly ending his life, a choice that screams of personal hatred rather than professional intimidation, suggesting that this mystery woman carries deep, festering resentment against Cane, perhaps for something he doesn't even realize he did, and that threat, "I'll kill you if you betray me again," hints at a past alliance between Cane and his attacker, meaning that somewhere in the labyrinth of Cane's questionable decisions lies a deal gone wrong, a betrayal that cut so deeply it pushed this woman to exact retribution. And the narrative potential here is electrifying, because as fans know, Cane has long been the kind of character who straddles the line between hero and anti-hero, often making reckless choices in the name of family or survival, only to find those choices spiraling out of control. So it is entirely believable that in his desperation to protect Lily, shield his children, or outmaneuver Victor, he made a pact with someone dangerous, someone he underestimated. And now the bill for that decision has come due in the most terrifying way possible. And as the mystery unravels, speculation runs rampant. Could it be that this woman is connected to Colin's criminal empire? Maybe even an old flame or partner who feels Cane owes her? Or could she be tied to Juliet's family, seeking revenge for the scandal that rocked Cane and Juliet's short-lived relationship? Or perhaps she is a brand new player, a a corporate spy or ruthless enforcer who has been watching Cane for months, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And what makes it all the more shocking is that Cane, for once, is not in control, stripped of his usual charm and manipulations, left staring into the abyss of mortality as he realizes that his life may depend on exposing someone whose identity he doesn't even know, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats with the ultimate soap opera question. Not just who is she? The attack acts as a catalyst that causes buried tensions to explode, drawing every character in Genoa City into the fallout. This sets the stage for months of explosive drama, tearful confrontations, shocking alliances, and the inevitable climactic reveal that will leave fans stunned and desperate for the next twist in this unforgettable saga. However, how far will she go to ensure Cane never reveals the truth? Can Cane find redemption, forgiveness, or even survival when the very air was squeezed from his lungs by the hands of a woman whose face may be more familiar than he dared to imagine? The aftermath of Cane's brutal attack shakes Genoa City like an earthquake, and though the official story is that he survived an attempted mugging, the truth gnaws at him because he knows the woman who strangled him wasn't some random criminal but someone who knew him, someone whose voice carried recognition, rage, and betrayal, and that knowledge alone leaves him spiraling into paranoia, waking at night drenched in sweat, convinced he can hear the echo of her threat. "I'll kill you if you betray me again," ringing in his ears, but Cane cannot bring himself to confide in anyone. Not Lily, not Jill, not Devon, not even his children, because admitting what happened would mean admitting
that there is a dark, hidden connection between him and this mysterious assailant, and so Cane begins his own secret investigation, combing through old contacts, emails, business deals, and buried cons from Colin's shadowy past, searching for any clue that might reveal who this woman is. But the deeper he digs, the more he realizes he may not want to know the truth, because every trail leads back to a different nightmare from his past, whether it's his faked identity when he first came to Genoa City, the scandals involving Juliet and the sexual harassment lawsuit, his repeated betrayals of Lily, or the stolen inheritance tied to Amanda Sinclair and Devon's fortune, any one of which could have left behind a scorned woman ready to seek blood revenge. And while Cane grows increasingly desperate, the rest of Genoa City begins to notice cracks in his facade, as Lily, despite her efforts to move on, sees the fear in his eyes when someone brushes too close to him in public, or when she mentions Amanda's return, and though she tries to dismiss it, deep down Lily knows Cane is hiding something dangerous, while Jill, always fiercely protective of her son, grows suspicious when she catches him making hushed phone calls at odd hours, fearing he's entangled in another con or blackmail scheme, and Jill's suspicion only intensifies when she receives an anonymous message warning her to tell your son to keep quiet, or else, sending shivers down her spine and making her realize that whatever Cane is caught up in could threaten the entire Chancellor family. And as tension builds, whispers spread around town about a mysterious woman spotted near the park where Cane was attacked, described only as having long dark hair, piercing eyes, and an aura of fury, which sets the rumor mill ablaze, with Phyllis quickly stoking the fire by suggesting this could be someone tied to Devon's inheritance drama, while Abby speculates about dangerous business rivals, and even Victor raises an eyebrow, suspecting that Cane has gotten involved with enemies of Newman Enterprises, perhaps as a pawn in some larger scheme. And as the speculation grows, Amanda Sinclair finds herself drawn into the web, stunned when she receives an envelope containing a photograph of Cane with a red X drawn across his face, along with the words, "You should have finished the job." A chilling message that Amanda initially dismisses as a sick prank until she remembers her own entanglement with Cane and Colin's scams, leading her to wonder if she herself is now a target, and whether the woman who attacked Cane might be using Amanda as a scapegoat. Knowing their history would make her the perfect suspect, and as Amanda wrestles with that fear, Devon becomes increasingly protective, determined to shield her but also unsettled by the possibility that Cane's dangerous connections could once again bleed into his world, threatening his fortune, his legacy, and his loved ones, all while Cane himself unravels. Caught between the terror of his attacker resurfacing and the guilt of knowing that the sins of his past may have summoned her wrath, and though Cane tries to drink away his fear in dark corners of society, he cannot drown out the truth that this woman will return, because she promised him she would, and if she strikes again, she may not miss, leaving Cane in a state of constant dread, jumping at every shadow, while viewers are left screaming at their screens, who is she, what does she want, and How far is she willing to go to destroy Cane Ashby forever? As days turn into weeks, Kane's paranoia festers into full-blown obsession, and he starts to see the woman's shadow everywhere, in the glint of a mirror at society, in the reflection of a passing window at Chancellor Winters, even in the whispers of strangers at Crimson Lights, until he no longer knows what's real and what's fear-induced hallucination, and though he tries to convince himself that he's imagining things, the bruises on his neck and the lingering rasp in his voice remind him that her hands were real, her grip was merciless, and her warning was absolute. So Cane becomes more reckless in his search, breaking into old accounts Colin once used, contacting dangerous people in the underworld, even tracking down former associates of Juliet. But the more questions he asks, the more danger he attracts, because suddenly anonymous threats begin flooding his phone. Emails with cryptic warnings like "stop digging" and "you'll be sorry" arriving at odd hours, sometimes accompanied by grainy photos of him taken when he thought he was alone, proving that someone is not only watching him but enjoying his unraveling. And soon, the ripples extend beyond Cane, drawing Lily deeper into the storm as she notices unfamiliar cars parked outside her home, her children's school reporting a strange woman loitering nearby, and her own phone receiving anonymous calls that go dead the moment she answers, leaving her chilled to the bone. And though Lily has sworn off Kane's drama, her maternal instinct kicks in, forcing her to confront him, demanding to know what danger he's dragged them all into. But Cane, torn between protecting her and hiding his shame, deflects, insisting she stay out of it, which only makes her more suspicious, while Devon, always wary of Kane's destructive patterns, warns Lily not to get sucked back into his chaos, though even he can't deny that something sinister is circling. Especially after Amanda receives yet another ominous package, a necklace that once belonged to Hillary, broken and stained with something that looks disturbingly like blood, accompanied by a note reading, "He betrayed me." 2. A message so twisted it sends shockwaves through Devon and Amanda, making them fear that this woman isn't just targeting Cane but deliberately weaving Hillary's memory into her vendetta, as if her grudge transcends time and seeks to poison everyone connected to Cane. And when Jill catches wind of the situation, she storms into town determined to protect her son, threatening to use every resource at Chancellor Industries to unmask the attacker. But even Jill, fierce and unrelenting, receives her own warning, an anonymous voice calling late at night to whisper, "Back off, or watch your empire burn," leaving her rattled in a way few adversaries ever have. And as all of Genoa City buzzes with theories, Phyllis fans the flames with her usual relish, loudly speculating that Cane must have cheated one too many women, while Adam Newman, ever the opportunist, wonders aloud if this mystery woman could be manipulated into helping him take down Newman's rivals. But underneath the gossip and scheming, a darker truth lingers. This isn't just about corporate power or failed romance, it's about revenge at its most primal, personal, and merciless. And Cane knows that unless he finds her first, she will strike again, harder, deadlier, and maybe not just at him but at everyone he loves, because her rage feels bottomless, her hatred timeless, and every day that passes tightens the noose she already wrapped around his neck, leaving Cane haunted by the same question that now keeps fans breathless and desperate for answers. Who is she? Why does she want him destroyed? And how long can Cane survive before the faceless woman in the shadows steps forward to finish what she started? Soon Cane realizes that his life is spiraling into a waking nightmare, because no matter how carefully he checks over his shoulder, no matter how many locks he changes or cameras he installs, the mysterious woman always seems one step ahead, leaving taunting reminders of her presence, like a lipstick-stained glass left on his counter when he swears he locked the door, or the faint scent of jasmine perfume lingering in his car though he hasn't given anyone a ride. And each haunting clue erodes his sanity a little more, convincing him that she isn't just watching him, she's inside his world, studying his every weakness, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. And the terror intensifies when Maddie, Kane's daughter, receives a strange email from an unknown sender that simply reads, "Your father's sins will become yours," an ominous promise that leaves Cane shaken to the core, because now it's not just his life on the line but his children's. And though he tries to play it off, Lily confronts him again, furious that danger is circling their kids. But Cane still refuses to reveal the full truth, terrified that speaking the woman's name, or even admitting her existence, will only provoke her further. Yet this silence only deepens the rift between him and everyone who once trusted him, leaving him isolated and vulnerable, which may be exactly what the mysterious attacker wants. and meanwhile, Jill quietly hires a private investigator to track down any lead, but even the seasoned detective returns shaken, claiming he caught a glimpse of a tall woman in the Chancellor Mansion's garden late at night, her face obscured, her movements purposeful, and though he pursued her, she disappeared into the shadows like a ghost, leaving behind nothing but a crushed rose in the dirt and the unnerving sense that she wanted to be seen, almost like she was sending a message. And as whispers spread through Genoa City about Kane's unraveling, other players begin speculating about the woman's motives. Sharon worries that Kane may have crossed paths with a mentally unstable ex-lover. Nikki warns Victor that the Chancellor's chaos could spill into Newman business, and Chance quietly wonders if this attacker might be tied to one of his old undercover cases, suggesting that Kane may have been a pawn in a much bigger criminal network without even realizing it. And while theories swirl, the attacks grow bolder. Kane wakes one night to find the words traitor scrawled across his bathroom mirror in red lipstick. He discovers his car brakes have been cut before a scheduled business trip, and one chilling morning he finds a photograph of himself asleep in his bed, proof that she has been inside his home while he lay helpless and unaware, each act escalating the stakes, each move proving her hatred burns hotter and closer, and now even Kane, stubborn as he is, cannot deny the inevitable truth, that this woman is not going to stop, not going to rest, until she has utterly destroyed him, body, mind, and soul. And though his fear is suffocating, a small, desperate part of him begins to wonder if unmasking her identity might finally give him a shot at redemption, because whoever she is, whatever betrayal sparked her fury, she holds the key not only to his survival but to every mistake, every crime, every dark chapter of his past that he thought was buried. And as Genoa City buzzes with anticipation, fans sit on the edge of their seats, aching for the moment her face finally emerges from the shadows, even as the danger grows so suffocating that the very question itself, who is she, feels like a weapon, a puzzle with fatal outcomes, and Kane is aware that he won't survive long enough to discover the solution if he doesn't figure it out quickly. By the time Kane reaches the third week of living under the suffocating shadow of his attacker, he feels as though every breath is borrowed, every step stalked, because the woman who strangled him and promised to end his life if he betrayed her again is no longer just a faceless threat but a ghostly figure haunting every corner of his existence, showing herself in flashes and fragments that torment him, sometimes a figure in the distance reflected in a shop window, sometimes a shadow slipping away when he turns his head, sometimes just the faintest whisper of her perfume in an empty room, always close enough to remind him she's real, but never clear enough for him to confront. And the games she plays grow crueler by the day, with chilling notes slipped into his children's backpacks, locks tampered with at Chancellor Mansion, and even Jill's private safe broken into, not for money or documents but to leave behind a single item, a strand of dark hair tied around an old photo of Kane and Lily, a symbolic warning that this vendetta is deeply personal, reaching into the most intimate chapters of Kane's life, and the strain begins to show on his face, his voice trembling in boardroom meetings, his eyes darting nervously even during casual conversations, until people start whispering that he's drinking again or that he's lost his grip on reality, which only serves the woman's twisted agenda, isolating him from the allies he needs most, because even Lily, though increasingly alarmed, begins to question if Kane is imagining threats to cover up some new scandal, while Devon, scarred by his own betrayals, openly warns everyone that Kane has a habit of creating chaos, suggesting that his paranoia is nothing more than guilt coming home to roost. Yet at the same time, Amanda's instincts as an attorney tell her that the danger is real, especially after she receives her own unsettling encounter when she steps out of her car late at night and finds a voice whispering her name from the shadows before a gloved hand brushes her shoulder, only for the figure to vanish into the darkness before she can scream, leaving her rattled and convinced the same woman who attacked Kane has now marked her as well. And as Amanda confides in Devon, tensions explode, because Devon sees this as proof that Kane's dark ties have once again dragged them all into danger, while Jill, refusing to stand by, demands answers from Kane, who breaks down and admits through tears that he knows the attacker's face, though he refuses to speak her name, insisting that uttering it out loud would make her strike again, which only infuriates Jill, who accuses him of being a coward and warns that silence will only get them all killed. And while family fractures under the weight of secrets, the woman escalates her game, staging a mock funeral for Kane by sending him a coffin-shaped box filled with dirt and a single note, "Soon, A psychological strike that nearly pushes him to collapse, and though part of him wants to run, to disappear and protect his family by removing himself from Genoa City, another part of him, the stubborn, prideful part that has survived con after con, vows that he won't be broken, that he will face her, unmask her, and finally learn why her hatred burns so violently. But as he steels himself for the confrontation he knows is coming, fans are left to wonder if Cane is too late, if the woman already has her endgame in place, if every terrifying move she has made has been part of a larger design to dismantle him piece by piece before delivering the killing blow. And as the camera lingers on Cane's terrified eyes in the mirror, haunted by the bruises around his throat and the phantom sensation of her grip, the ultimate question continues to echo louder and louder: who is she? How does she know him so intimately? And what secret from his past is she avenging with a vengeance so consuming it could tear apart not only Cane but the entire foundation of Genoa City?